And we're back here on the Charles River, set for the JV race here at the Compton Cup between Harvard, Princeton, and now MIT joins the fold for the 2V and the 1V. Tigers have gotten off to an outstanding start with Dave Prescott, Bill Spalding. Princeton winning the 4V and the 3V, and they won the 3V by 9 seconds. Both races, they've come out of the chute really quickly and gotten separation pretty early.
Yeah, they've looked strong. They've started cleanly, which can be a challenge in tailwinds that we have today, which, I guess is at least a 10-mile-an-hour wind, and there's a little bit of chop. So they came out strong and clean. Harvard crews did too, but they're making statements early, and as we talked about, they made a couple moves, what seemed to be just after 500, and made the Harvard guys pay, and they were decisive moves.
Running you through the lineups. First for Harvard, Crimson have a good mix of classes in this JV boat. Coxswain is sophomore Jacqueline Goodman. Freshman Liam Corrigan is the stroke, both a stroke and bow seat freshman for the Crimson on this 2V boat. Sophomore Travis Taff in seat number 7. In seat 6, sophomore Alexander Richards. Seat 5, freshman Lars Lorsch. Seat 4, junior Henry Kennelly. In seat number 3, it's senior Akam Harzheim. In seat 2, senior Adam James. In seat 1, freshman Sammy Meyer is the bow, up from the 3rd varsity last week into the 2nd varsity. That's 4 freshmen in the 2nd varsity for the Crimson as you see that integration.
Yep, and yeah, definitely a young boat. I was talking to Billy a little bit about the crew earlier. A lot of horsepower in this boat, though. Not that Princeton won't, but they're strong, and there are a couple guys that rode up in the varsity last year for the Harvard Yale race in this JV now. So a lot of talent. Should be a good race.
For Princeton, their 2V boat looks like this. Coxswain is senior Jill Barton in the stroke seat. Freshman Andrew Morgan. Senior Ryan Barker in seat 7. Senior Fred Weistavel in seat 6. Seat 5 is junior Frankie D'Agostino. Seat number 4 is freshman Dan DeGroot. Seat 3, sophomore Will Chance. Seat 2, sophomore Julian Goldman. Seat 1, the bow, is junior Matthew Benstead. And for MIT, the engineers have a pretty mixed boat of freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. The coxswain is sophomore Jesse Chang. The stroke is freshman Charlie Inman. Sophomore Hamilton Eng in seat 7. Freshman Ben DeMars in seat 6. In seat 5, junior Daniel Dalton. In seat 4, senior Ryan Webb. In seat 3, sophomore Calvin Krikorian. In seat 2, freshman Michael Gump. The bow is sophomore Jack Gordon. Mentioned a few seniors in each of these boats, and I know you talked about it earlier. The JV race, sometimes you get a really gritty, almost angry race because you have some seniors that are angling to get back up into that top varsity boat in their final season.
Yep, no, that's true, and seniors that want to go out on a good note. So, yeah, adding MIT here will be interesting. Historically, they have not been an incredibly competitive program in this Compton Cup. But you never know. A couple years ago, they did beat Princeton, which was an important victory for that program.
MIT has won 1 of the 78 Compton Cups. Harvard has won 62, and Princeton has won 15. MIT at the bottom of your picture, Princeton in the middle, Harvard at the top here on the Charles. That wind has picked up a little bit more. Have you noticed a little bit more chop in the conditions as well?
Yeah, and we're off. Yeah, you'll see it especially in this first 500 as the water comes off the ocean.
Princeton has had outstanding starts so far today as we are off and running in this JV race.
That Harvard crew made a big move early.
Yeah, Harvard sticking with the Tigers out of the chute here. Both sides have already gained ground on MIT. Harvard and Princeton neck and neck. This is the point in the last couple
Princeton
races.
At 44.
This is the point in the last couple races where Princeton made a move and made some separation. Harvard sticking with them. Harvard
now down to 39. But it looks like Harvard, this JV crew, has decided to be very aggressive, which, I'm not sure was true in the other two crews. So it looks like Harvard is up a little bit right now, trying to make a move and make a statement.
Slight lead for the Crimson here. The JV boat, Harvard ranked 5th in the country. Princeton is ranked 3rd. Both sides undefeated coming into the Compton Cup. MIT has opened water back to 3rd place already. Engineers are coming in off good races as well. MIT 5-2 on this season. They won the Donahue Cup last week, beating Williams, WPI, and the University of Rochester.
This JV, Billy told me they've got horsepower and they make it happen, and it looks like they're making it happen. They are not letting what happened to the 3V and 4V happen to them. I'd say they have a 3-4 seat lead right now, which the Tigers have got to not be comfortable with, given how they like to race.
3 or 4 seat lead and growing for Harvard. This could change all the momentum going into the varsity race after Princeton won both the 4th varsity and 3rd varsity today.
Yeah, the Harvard guys are really pumping it right now. And as I talked about, you've got some real talent in that top boat, and some guys that are in that JV that want to get into that top boat. So they're looking to make a statement. Racing crews like Princeton and putting up big wins is a real statement to the coaching staff if you think your boat placement wasn't correct. And I'd say that Harvard's at to 6 seats now, which is big.
And they're coming up on what's generally the strength of the Harvard race. These middle 1,000 meters as Harvard is about 750 meters through at 2:17.
Yeah, they're going to try to rip this thing open right now.
See if they can get one more move and get that open water. Remember, Harvard did not win any of the 4 races against Princeton last year, so this would stem the tide against the Tigers if they can hold on here at 2nd varsity. MIT still well back in 3rd as Harvard continues to stretch its lead. They may be up to a full 8 seats on Princeton.
Yeah, they're pumping this one open. Princeton guys do look pretty calm, though. You may look to see them respond after this 20 from Harvard through the bridge.
First 2 races, we saw Princeton with the early moves, Harvard needing a response. Here it's the opposite way around as we get going underneath the bridge. The Crimson with that big move early. We'll see if they have enough left in the tank to carry it home through the full 2,000.
Yep.
Looks like Tigers may be laying on the lumber a little bit here as they try to pull it back.
I have Harvard still pretty high at 38. And we're getting called back right now. Unfortunately, the MIT crew has fallen back quite a bit, so we can't follow the race as closely as we'd like.
Engineers still stroking along. It's still a challenge for the engineers to field a full team. Their institutional level of buildup, but you give a lot of credit to the 16 who rode today for MIT. They really embrace it, and they've had a good season so far. A 5-2 record for the engineers.
Yeah, no, they look good, and rowing's a year-round sport. It's tough, so they're out here doing it.
Harvard still holding the lead as they head to the final 500 meters. Princeton has tightened it up a little bit into the home stretch.
Yeah, it looks like Princeton has not let them go, and has responded very well to that. We're at 20 through the bridge.
At 4:10 with 500 meters to go. So another fast pace with the tailwind. Harvard had about an 8-seat lead at the bridge. They're still sitting around that margin as we watch them head towards the line with a slight lead on Princeton, trying to end all Tiger day so far. Princeton winning in 4V and 3V.
Yep, it looks like Princeton has gone up to try to make something happen. I've got him at 39 right now.
Do they have enough real estate left to try to close, or will they run out of gas before the Crimson can cross the line in front?
I've got Harvard at 40. Harvard's up there with him. Harvard has stayed high this whole race. They stayed aggressive early, and I think they settled the beater too higher, and they took it in that first 250, pushed it out again, and I think they're going to hold on here, though I don't think they have open.
Crimson still holding on to a comfortable margin, but no open water yet as they head to that flag. Harvard looking to put Princeton away and take this 2nd varsity JV race at the Compton Cup. This boat's got a great mix of youth and experience. 3 freshmen for Harvard on the JV boat. Crimson coming towards the flag. Harvard in the JV race takes the JV race. Princeton stroking home in 2nd.
3.5 second win.
Good margin for Harvard there, turning things around after the 4V and the 3V.
In a tailwind, that might be a little bit open.
And here comes MIT trying to finish things off, bringing it home. Do you think with Harvard setting at that really high race and locking it in there at that high rate around 40 strokes a minute that you carried a couple different times during the 2000, how much of that do you think was knowing they had the tailwind, they'd be able to maybe kick it up an extra gear?
Yeah, I think you find it's harder to lock in a tailwind, and so you sort of change a little bit how you're going to row the race, maybe tap it along a little bit higher.
MIT comes in 43 seconds, or rather 35 seconds behind at 6:23.04 unofficially. So it's Harvard 1, Princeton 2, MIT 3. Harvard gets its first win of the day, and now we set the stage for the big one. What are you looking forward to in the Compton Cup decider, the first varsity race that's coming up next?
Yeah, it'll be a gritty one. It'll be a tough one. No one's going to back down. You know, some of the things we had mentioned about some of the lower boats, some inexperienced, you've got none of that. People are going to be aggressive. They know how to race, and they're experienced. And it'll be fast and hard and high.
All right, Harvard heavyweights, Princeton heavyweights, MIT heavyweights, Compton Cup on the line. That's coming up next on the Ivy League Digital Network.